covering the islands of the Bahamas. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight. I'm Keishla Adderley. Thanks so much for joining us and happy Independence Day. Topping the news this evening, the Christie administration has about 6 weeks to fulfill a campaign promise to provide details for a referendum on a national lottery and gambling in the Bahamas. Since making that declaration, the lingering gambling debate has gone to another level. But what if Bahamians vote against legalizing gambling? We put the question to Prime Minister Perry Christie. Here's our Janaea Noel Ferguson with that.
The government has promised a referendum on the legalization of gambling by the end of this year. It's an issue that has created much controversy and one which the Christian Council has strongly objected to. Now, while number operators have formed the We Care group to sensitize the public to the believed benefits of gambling, there is always the possibility that the Bahamian people will vote against it. Prime Minister Perry Christie says, if so, the law will be enforced.
We just cannot have an enterprise, a major business enterprise in our country that employs over 1,000 people, that actually pay national insurance and business license fees, and that make all sorts of contributions to charity. We cannot have them existing in fact, but pretending that they do not exist, and we just cannot do that. The contradiction is too profound, with profound impacts on people's confidence in the law. So we must remove the contradiction one way or the other.
But if the Bahamian people do vote for the legalization of gambling, Mr. Christie says studies show that it will not be that complex to put into place, and the government is considering several options.
We are well advanced on our examination of how we go about enforcing a new regime where they are licensed. And so, it'll obviously evolve, but we have to make them accountable for keeping records. We will be able to examine those records, like the way in which we maintain sort of our vigilance on casinos and what casinos earn. It'll be the same thing here. We have to decide on whether we will tax them on their gross earnings, as one would be inclined to do. But all of these are matters that are being discussed, matters that are being researched. And as I said before, the debate has started.
But just how strongly does the Prime Minister believe the influence of the church is?
I have no idea about this. If you ask me about whether the FNM would win or the PLP would win, I'll make a guess, all right? But I have no idea. It's just like politics. People think, many people don't tell you what they think, and you have to wait. And so, but I think from our point of view, we have made a decision as a government that we are going to bring this to a conclusion this year.
Now, if the referendum is accepted by the Bahamian people, Mr. Christie says the government will move toward making it a legal reality. Janaea Noel Ferguson, ZNS News.
Long-awaited promotions for police reserves were announced today during the Independence celebration at police headquarters. Commissioner of Police Ellison Greenslade delivered the news, which anxious officers have been awaiting for some time now.
In accordance with Articles 119, subsection 5 of the Constitution, and after consultation with the Police Promotion Board, I hereby announce that promotions for contracted officers in the reserves are hereby released. 81 sergeants and 188 constables to corporals.
Now, Minister of National Security Bernard Nottage highlighted the importance of police reservists and said these promotions are well deserved.
The police force couldn't really carry out its mandate without the help of the reserve officers. Officers are a very important part of the police force because they fill in a lot of times when there are insufficient policemen to do patrols, to man the officers, etc. their promotions have been delayed for a very long time. And this was having an adverse effect on the morale of those officers. And so I'm happy that we were able to announce today the promotions from constable to corporal and from corporal to sergeant. And we have also already approved the promotions of the senior ranks.
Well, during that function today, the commissioner later announced those senior rank promotions. Meantime, on the heels of the announcement that former National Security Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt and former Youth Sports and Culture Minister Algernon Allen will co-chair the Urban Renewal Commission, the new commission will be officially launched tomorrow. According to Prime Minister Perry Christie, it's the final step before introducing legislation guiding urban redevelopment.
We are going to really and truly launch urban renewal. We intend for urban renewal to be put into law, the commission to be legislated, so that any future government would necessarily have to examine it before they reject it. You are going to find, as people are already observing, that urban renewal is having a very, very significant impact on the communities that they are in now.
Now, Mr. Christie added that this new element is critical to the development of the program.
Legislation will really set out what we're doing now. It will empower them by way of law to be a commission, to be properly appointed, the number of people that will be on the commission itself, which areas of the country they come from will be stipulated in that. There will be some civil servants, like ministries, are a part of it, but to really arm it and equip it to have the impact that it should have. I am very, very impressed with just 4 weeks or 5 weeks of activity, what they have been able to accomplish.
75 Haitian immigrants were apprehended in South Beach today after their wooden vessel came ashore just after 8 o'clock this morning. Immigration authorities tell us the group included 7 children, and according to occupants of the boat, at least 1 passenger drowned before the group made landfall here. Clint Watson has the story.
It's a sobering reminder this Independence Day of the freedoms and liberties that we enjoy as a people. Our closest neighbors, desperate enough to risk their lives in search of better.
How long were you on the sea?
Since Thursday night.
What part of Haiti are you coming from?
Oh, well, we fishermen from Port-de-Paix, Haiti.
This migrant, like others, made it to shore alive, a far different scenario for 7 migrants taken to hospital, severely dehydrated. And the worst outcome of them all, a woman said to be between 25 to 30 years old, whom officials believe drowned during the ordeal.
Her body was retrieved from the area near the Haitian vessel. She was brought in along with 3 male migrants who were severely dehydrated. The initial visual inspection appears that she may have drowned. However, crime scene officers are returning to the scene to conduct a full investigation as to the situation surrounding her death.
Now, on the scene, it was obviously clear that this was a journey that was very difficult for these immigrants. You can see by neighbors in the area providing them with water that they were very dehydrated, many of them needing medical attention.
You go to hospital, okay?
An accident and emergency physician who lives in the area was on hand to assist emergency services personnel check the health of a group of migrants. They were later determined to be okay and not in immediate need of medical care. The Royal Bahamas Defense Forces Operations Commander Nedley Martinborough confirmed the initial call came around 8 Tuesday morning. They immediately dispatched officers on land and sea. It was a joint operation with police, immigration, and Defense Force officers.
They were dispatched to the immediate vicinity of the vessel, where they proceeded to scour the surrounding areas for persons which may have landed from the vessel.
How challenging was it in getting to them?
It was pretty difficult, crossing mangroves, etc. However, it's familiar terrain for those of us in the Defense Force, so no difficulty in that, except that the terrain posed for a slight delay in time.
ZNS News was the only team to speak exclusively with one of the migrants who made the journey. Turns out he reportedly was in the Bahamas before and was deported.
He just went out of food last night in the water. We went out of water and food.
How long were you on the sea?
Since Thursday night.
Where were you headed?
Well, we were heading for the Bahamas, but it seemed like we do a good job, but we come off one side. You know, try to find some civilizations, some work. So that's all. We know him.
Did you come to the Bahamas to try and find work to live?
Yes, to survive. Because Haiti no work. With poor people, poor fishermen. We can't even find fish on that water.
Officials tell us migrants reportedly scattered in various locations of the Eastern District. Authorities apprehended 3 groups, one off Hannah Road near Yamacraw, the largest group in Seabreeze near the canal, and the third group East Street South near South Beach. Among the latest count, there were 6 children.
How many you believe may have been on that boat?
Anywhere between that number and maybe to 100, 120. It appears to be about a 40-foot sloop, and they normally pack pretty tight on those. So a rough estimate of maybe 100 or just above 100 persons may have been on board.
Clint Watson, ZNS News.
Now, we spoke with National Security Minister Bernard Nottage about this case today, and he says an investigation is underway.
For the most part, what we've found is that when Haitians come to the Bahamas, they come willingly. They risk their lives to do so, seeking a better standard of life. And so it's not unusual for this to happen. It's unfortunate. We try our best to minimize it or prevent it, but very often they do get through.
Meantime, the government, he says, is equipping the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to be able to better police the waters. Now, this incident, of course, comes on the heels of the drownings of 11 people off Abaco. The group was headed to Florida. The Bahamas is celebrating 39 years of independence today, and thousands of Bahamians converged on Clifford Park last evening to mark the occasion with the traditional cultural show, ecumenical service, flag raising, and inspection. The occasion was also used as a forum to address burning national issues. Like the themes of this song and her big voice, Asari Mitchell is beyond her years. The youngest performer of the night, she helped the country ring in 39 years of independence.
And we just heard
Clifford Park was a sea of aquamarine, gold, and black Monday night, as it has been for 39 Independence mornings now, as a series of bands drummed up the excitement which accompanied the occasion. And in traditional fashion, the uniformed branches were on parade as Governor General, His Excellency Sir Arthur Folkes, carried out his traditional inspection in a non-traditional way. With the message of the evening was Pastor Leonard Johnson of the Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. He spoke to the controversial gambling debate, and there was no mistaking his stance on the matter as a referendum looms.
I ask you, fellow Bahamians, residents all, I ask you, parliamentarians, I call upon all tonight, let us not seek shortcuts. The yard that is popular says everyone can be a winner, but that is not so. Only in the reign and in the kingdom of God, everyone wins. We must not be bought because people donate millions to charity. The people of God must go by the word of God. We must listen to the report of God and depend on God to bless us.
Pastor Johnson also urged Bahamians to let go of the divisiveness of politics in the aftermath of general elections.
In some ways, the country would seems to be polarized. We are pulling in different directions. But I pray that this independence service will serve to bring us together as a people, for we are one people.
Now, the Bahamas celebrates a big one next year, 40 years of independence, and organizers are already preparing for that big day. The Royal Bahamas Police Force held its annual independence reception at police headquarters today. Senior officers were joined by former police officials and senior government officials. Bringing remarks was Governor General, His Excellency Sir Arthur Folkes.
We appreciate the work you are doing. I believe Bahamians appreciate the work you are doing. And it is not, sometimes we forget this, it is not only about protecting us from the criminal class. The police force is also the guarantors of our Constitution. We sometimes forget that. There are no coups in the Bahamas. Nobody will attempt to pull a coup in the Bahamas because they know that the Royal Bahamas Police Force will not allow that.
Now, Sir Arthur also noted the importance of maintaining traditions and ceremony as part of our culture.
Rituals and ceremonies sometimes speak louder than words. And that is why on occasions such as the opening of Parliament, as we saw recently in the transition from one government to another, we had a lot of fanfare, a lot of ceremony. And that is very important because those ceremonies, those rituals talk to people in a way that words do not. You may not put it into words, but the young person looking at that, he sees the police force in all their pretty uniform and he says, law and order.
2 babies were born early Independence morning at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Hospital officials tell us that a baby girl was born at 12:25 a.m. She weighed in at 6 pounds 6 ounces, while a boy was born at 12:50 this morning, weighing 4 pounds and 9 ounces. We want to say congratulations to the families of these Independence newborns. We know you want to see them. We'll introduce you to the bundles of joy tomorrow. Now, Independence celebrations ended on a high note this morning with the Independence People's Rush. Right after the festivities on Clifford Park, crowds flocked to Bay Street for the event, held in honor of 5 people deemed worthy of Junkanoo honors. Shanique Miller has the story.
39 never looked so good. This year, the Independence People's Love and Unity Rush was bigger, better, and bolder. The Bahamian spirit, loud and clear, undeniably, as the country's premier cultural expression put Bahamian pride on full display. The Shell Saxon superstars would charge out of the gate first, energized, regaled in national colors. The 13th annual Independence People's Love and Unity Rush was a time to honor the men and women who've made it their life's work to build the Junkanoo community. This year, the Independence Committee highlighted the achievements of women and those of the suffrage movement. The only female among the 5 honorees, Carolyn Voigt Evans, is an avid Junkanooer who is among the leaders of the Roots Junkanoo organization.
I am so elated. I'm lost for words for once in my life. But it's a wonderful experience. I'm truly humbled that my group considered me a person that was worthy of such an honor.
The Shell Saxon superstars too had an honoree. Edison Fast Eddie Dames joined the list. The Saxon was credited for his work in the group and to Junkanoo.
I believe that I made my contribution to the National Junkanoo program, more so than just being a concentrated effort on a particular group.
The Valley Boys would be the only group to have 2 honorees. Edward Eddie Ford rushed with the Valley Boys from the 1970s, one of the industry's best costume builders and one who's been instrumental in other areas of the group. Ford is credited with affecting the growth of Junkanoo. Edward Fitzgerald belongs to one of the country's premier musical families. Fitzgerald is one of the founding members of the Valley Boys and one of the group's original drummers. What's significant is Fitzgerald is credited with holding the fort during the 1960s, at a time the group appeared in the James Bond movie that was shot here.
It feels very good to know that the people of the JDA recognize me for my contribution for Junkanoo, and it's a good feeling, and I'm proud that I was chosen to receive this great honor.
And it's always great when you can come out, when you can see the merrymakers on the street, when you know you've participated, and it's been a long, long time getting where we are now.
It is for you. This is about us. It's about celebrating ourselves. And tonight, let me let you know that every single person that I've met is still proud to be Bahamian.
The Valley Boys would come out of the gate last, but positions and scores didn't matter on this parade. It was all about celebrating the birthday of a proud nation. Shanique Miller, ZNS News.
Well, although they had to work on this holiday like I do, Bahamians employed at the Cove Atlantis celebrated nonetheless. The Guest Services Department hosted the Independence Affair and got employees involved in some traditional and non-traditional activities. They played Name That Bahamian Song, Identify the Bahamian Entertainer, and played some interesting games using their bodies. The food was also a major highlight, prepared by a group of chefs, including sous chef Tamika Johnson.
Home peas and grits. We have some kidney bean and rice, fried fish, the usual. We have some guava pudding. We have some conch salad. You can't leave the conch salad out. We have some barbecue ribs. We have chicken in the bag, just the works. Only thing missing is the sky juice.
Well, when we come back, we'll take a look at Independence festivities on Grand Bahama. Stay tuned.